What?
We are talking. It
All
is the
right.
25th anniversary of Star Wars 1, The Phantom Menace. Man, we're getting old.
Oh, yeah, seriously.
I've been on a long time, Joey.
Okay, but 25 years since The Phantom Menace came out.
I know.
Um,
Crazy.
Yeah.
it's crazy. Before we talk about the movie, I want to talk about the lead up to the movie and the history. Um, you had, of course, Star Wars in 1977, Empire Strikes Back in 1980, Return of the Jedi in 1983,
Yep.
and
Wasn't born
then
for any of those.
there you go. Well, how old were you for Phantom Menace?
Phantom Menace, I was 10 when it came
Okay,
out.
okay,
Yeah, I was 10
okay.
years old. This was like the equivalent of you guys seeing it back in the day.
I
Seeing the
was
original trilogy.
I just got married. I got married in 1998. So
There you go.
I was pregnant with my youngest in 99, and so yes.
there you go. But so I don't know if Andrew will remember this, but I know you will, Pam. When Star Wars was over, it's like, wow, we got, okay, it's amazing. And then we went through the 80s, nothing.
No Star
Uh,
Wars.
through the 90s, nothing. We were starved for Star Wars content. And all we got was like some comic books and some books that really didn't, that were sort of, they just did their own thing. And gosh, and then we get the announcement of the re-releases, the special editions of the original trilogy. And that was in 1997. And
Okay.
also we got the announcement that there will be a prequel trilogy. And from what I under from what I just read, George Lucas was so burned out from Star Wars, and can you blame him? I mean, he basically made everything from scratch. He was
Yeah.
just done. He's like, okay, I'm done with Star Wars, and then something happened, and what the introduction of CGI. Do you know a movie that inspired him to make the prequels?
Oh, I actually don't know the answer to this, but I know one of the reasons that inspired him to make this, but go ahead.
Okay, the movie that inspired him was Jurassic Park.
Oh wow.
Jurassic, he
No,
saw the
wait.
CGI in Jurassic Park and said, maybe we could do something with this.
That
And
makes
that
sense.
inspired him. And I think it was announced in like 1993 or something like that that he's thinking about making prequels. But I just remember in 97 that was like people were starting to go crazy, like, oh my God, he's making new movies because he just re-released the special editions. And I remember the special editions. I went out to see them. And I remember especially the first one of episode 4, the special edition coming out. That was a packed theater. People were still crazy for Star Wars. Pam, did you see the special editions when they came out on the theater?
I feel like I saw Return of the Jedi. I don't know that I saw all three of them when
That
they
was my
came out.
favorite of the original trilogy.
Yeah, I was yeah, I feel like I saw Return of the Jedi in the theater, the
But
special edition.
But Pam, were you the same way back then? That's like, oh my God, when is a new Star Wars going to come out? Why aren't they making new Star Wars? And then the excitement of when they actually did make a new Star Wars.
Oh my God, yeah, definitely, definitely. I was going to ask you. I'm glad you said that. I couldn't remember when the announcement was made. I know I lived here in Bethel Park, and I know that we moved here in '97, and I remember hearing about it and just being like, "Oh my God!" So, I mean, 2 years before, that's a long time to be excited and anticipate. So,
Yeah. I mean,
Well,
he was pioneering new technology with this movie. That's one of the big reasons he did it. Was this is I think the first movie with a fully CGI character, like a complete CGI character. I'm pretty sure.
he is George Lucas is such an innovator. He innovated with Clone Wars. There was a lot of innovations with that when he made that. But yeah, there was a lot of
Yeah.
innovations that and yeah, using a CGI character that was almost unheard of back then. A fully CGI character, and it
Yeah.
For good or bad, it brought in basically a new era of movie making. It's like sometimes it's like all green screen, all CGI things. So that ushered in a new era of movie making.
Well, I read something that all of the sets were built like only 6 feet high, and then the rest of it was supposed to be green screen, and then they had to build like an extra half foot on because Liam Neeson's like 6'4" or something like that. I feel like I think I read that somewhere that they were like
I've seen that so many times. It cost them an extra 150,000 because Liam Neeson was so tall. That's so funny.
Liam Neeson's just a tall son of a.
Yeah.
I know. I used to watch when these guys came out. These three movies came out on, whatever form they came out first. I watched the special editions, and the credits, and the extra, stuff constantly. So I've heard all that stuff too about the green screen and having to do all that stuff. I watched it constantly, like obsessively. So I get it.
This is
People get mad. Sorry, go ahead, Andrew.
I was gonna say this is the one of the prequels that I think I've seen the most. Like is episode 1. I think this is the one I've seen the most of the prequel trilogy.
Okay. I forgot what I was gonna say. Yeah, it was just so much fever pitch. And then there was a phenomenon of they announced when the trailers when the trailer was released, and it was during this movie, Meet Joe Black. There was actually a couple movies that they announced that the Star Wars trailer would be in this movie. So what people would do is they would get tickets to see these movies, watch the trailers, wait for the Star Wars trailer, and then get the hell out of there and not even bother to watch the movie.
Probably bumped Meet Joe Young or whatever that movie was. Probably bumped that movie's ticket sales.
Right. They're probably thinking, yeah, wow, this is a great movie. We did really good box office numbers. Like, no, we're just here for the damn trailer. So funny. It was just funny. We were just so starved. 16 years we had to wait for a new Star Wars content. Now we wait, 16 days for this. Seems like there's a new Star Wars thing.
I was gonna say, I feel like they're putting out Star Wars content left and right nowadays.
Yeah.
I think there's got to be a happy medium somewhere.
Right.
They're gonna run into the same wall that Marvel ran into.
Yeah. How much is too much? Yeah. The trailer, and it was released on May 19th, 1999. They didn't get the memo to release things on May 4th yet. they didn't start that tradition yet. It was set 32 years before the original trilogy. There's some things I just learned that kind of blew my mind. For the part of Qui-Gon, they were these actors were discussed. Denzel Washington, Tom Hanks, Morgan Freeman, and Kurt Russell were considered for the part of Qui-Gon.
I could see Kurt
Tom
Russell.
Hanks.
No.
Morgan Freeman. That would have been an interesting one. How did they go from those guys to Liam Neeson?
They originally thought of Qui-Gon as like a really old grizzled dude with a big beard kind of thing. So I could see like a Morgan Freeman with a big beard or something like that. Or
Morgan Freeman can do anything.
Denzel was too young for that at that point in his career.
I can't imagine Tom Hanks as Qui-Gon Jinn.
No. That's called he was the It Man, so that was it. So.
Yeah.
That is true.
Natalie
was it Castaway around that time?
Around that time, yeah.
I mean, he could pull off the grizzled beard look if that's what they were going for. Maybe.
Well, he did. Yeah. I mean, he and Forrest Gump was in 1994. So, Natalie Portman, who played Queen Amidala, she missed the premiere party in New York because she had to go home to study for her high school final exams.
She was like 15 when they filmed this, or 14 or something like that. Yeah, she was not that old.
Who did you hear who wanted to play Jar Jar Binks?
Oh,
Michael Jackson.
Oh my God. That would have been amazing. That would have been interesting. Jar Jar
Come
gets a
on.
bum rap. We can talk about that, but he gets a bum rap. I'm sorry.
Oh, we got a
will
lot to
definitely
talk
have words
about
on
Jar
Jar.
Jar. We got a
Poor
lot.
Jar Jar.
Oh, no, poor Jar Jar.
All right. So okay. So let's talk about the movie. We got to the opening crawl, and it says turmoil has engulfed the Galactic Republic. The taxation of trade routes to
Most
outline star
boring
systems is a
opening
dispute.
crawl.
Like, oh my goodness, we're talking about taxation.
Hey,
Most
but now, in retrospect, seeing it in the context of the entire saga, I must say, I appreciate that. I know I didn't appreciate it in 1999, but I appreciate that backstory now.
Yeah,
I don't appreciate the bit about taxation and trade routes like that. Like you can just tell me that people have a blockade on a planet and there's no food getting to them. Like that's all you needed to tell me. I didn't need to know it was about like taxation and Republican senates making votes and stuff. Like that was a bit too much for me.
but
Especially when I
it
was
all
10
set
years
up.
old.
It all set up what Darth Sidious, was doing. And so hoping to resolve the matter with a blockade of deadly battleships, the greedy Trade Federation has stopped all shipping to the small planet of Naboo. While the Congress of the Republic endlessly debates this alarming chain of events, the Supreme Chancellor has secretly dispatched 2 Jedi Knights, the guardians of peace and justice in the galaxy, to settle the conflict. And the first thing we see is Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon Jinn. Oh my God. Young Obi-Wan, played by Ewan McGregor, and Qui-Gon Jinn, played by Liam Neeson. Boom. And the first thing Obi-Wan says is, I have a bad feeling about this. We're going with the hits right away.
Oh,
I just
man.
remember getting such a thrill the first time I saw that. And I felt that same thrill seeing it this time in the same theater that I saw it 25 years ago. Like it was,
The thing that I've thought, watching it again 25 years later is, just in general, the, kind of crapping on the prequels, saying, what is this? What is this crap? The prequels sucked. And it's like, but the more you watch it and seeing the first one again, they weren't bad. They weren't,
I've always been a prequel defender. Always.
Yeah, they're not as bad as people make them out to be.
Yeah.
And like the original trilogy gets, I think, rose-colored glasses a little bit. Like
I agree.
The original Star Wars it's good, and for its time, it was amazing. But it's a pretty basic story. Like it was nothing groundbreaking.
Well,
so,
he made it. He said he made it for kids, and we could see he made some of these prequels also for kids, especially as some parts of this one. But yeah, I will always think that the original trilogy is the greatest thing ever, because that's me. That was me growing up. That was me as a 10-year-old watching these movies. It was my, so I'm always going to think that everything in the original trilogy is the greatest thing ever, even the murder bears.
The murder bears.
I like Ewok. I will defend Ewok.
So Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan are there. Obi-Wan got rocking his braid. He got his Padawan braid, because that's the Jedi tradition of when you're Padawan, you wear your braid.
I did forget
we
about
didn't
that.
learn till then, but
right. Again, this is all new information. Like, oh, okay, they're called Padawan. Like, we're learning all this information as they're just kind of spitting it out like we're supposed to know.
Right.
But it's kind of cool the way they did that, though. I mean, they didn't it was not so on the nose that you're like, this is the way this is. You see this and you hear the conversation. Right.
Yeah.
Which I like.
Exposition the heck out of it. They just threw it in like a general point of conversation, and they were like, "Oh, Padawan, that must mean like an apprentice Jedi." Like, right. And we could infer that from context clues. So I do have to ask these first opening scenes on the ship, the Nemoidians, racist or no?
Wow,
why is he? I didn't even think of that.
That's a big that was a big accusation, because, and I just heard that they based their their dialect and stuff on like Asian Jap, a combination of things. I don't, it does kind of sound, I don't know. I could see what you could say. It sounds kind of racist, like the Trade Federation.
Oh
Like
God, I didn't even.
It kind of, yeah, I was gonna say it kind of reminds me of like the South Park character, the guy that runs like the Chinese restaurant in South Park, City Walk, and I'm like, that voice is a little iffy, but
I could
they're not a big enough part of it to really derail it for me though.
but yeah, I mean, this was an awesome first scene. They try to kill the Jedi, and now we have our first view of the droids, and
Yeah.
and that was cool. And we saw, and like the other thing that was so appealing about this whole prequels is, when did we see the Jedi in the original trilogy? We saw Old Man Ben, Old Man Darth Vader,
Old Man Yoda.
Old Man Yoda, uh, Luke not knowing what the heck he was doing. So we didn't really see, it was, it was promised like, now we're seeing the Jedi at their peak. We're seeing the Jedi, at the height of their powers. And here we see it right away. We see Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan just kicking butt. Yeah, they were a bunch of weak ass droids, but still they were kicking butt. It was so cool. And they say, oh, we seal the doors. There's no way they could get through the door.
Close the blast doors.
They use the lightsaber to cut up, and they're like, what?
That opening fight with the droids is underrated. I decided after watching it again. It's underrated.
The heck out of that fight,
because you get so much information just from watching that. Like, here's where they are with the droids, and here's what the lightsabers can do, and here's the young Jedi, and here's the heroes, and there's so much that's there without coming out, like you said, not exposition about it. It's here it is. Largely,
like, I love to jump up and do split kicks.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's like his move throughout the whole movie. Jump up, split kick. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Ewan McGregor was just really proud of that move or something.
Well, Ewan McGregor was so excited to be in this, and every time he used the lightsaber, he would make the lightsaber noise.
Yeah, I did know that. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Like, dude, can you stop doing that? Also, you know who did something similar? What's her name in the sequel? Admiral, what's her name? The admiral that crashed the thing into the other thing.
Oh, Holdo. Admiral Holdo? Yeah.
When she was shooting, every time she was shooting her blaster, she would go pew pew pew
pew pew pew pew.
Oh, I love
I would totally do that too.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I forgot about that. I have read that.
So yeah, the Trade Federation is blockading the planet Naboo, and then we meet Padme Amidala, and she's talking to Senator Palpatine, who, this was amazing. They got the same dude from 16 years ago who happened to just be the Emperor. That was so cool.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that while I was watching it. Like, what great casting, and how cool that he did it, and just to tie it all together. I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know who like that he was a true character.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know who this Lord Sidious guy is, but I mean, the guy that played Senator Palpatine, great job. So then the Jedi escape, and they're on the surface, and they meet Jar Jar Binks. Oh boy.
Jar Jar Binks.
Oh, Misa, I'm just gonna say I am not a fan. But it seemed like George Lucas. Now George Lucas, when he made he obviously made the original the original Star Wars. He wrote and directed that, and then he passed off directing Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi to other people, and he tried to get other directors for this movie. He tried to get Ron Howard and like the big directors of the time, and they're like, "No, man, this is your thing. This is like we're not. I don't think we can handle this. This is your thing, man. You do your thing with this." So George Lucas basically wrote, directed, did the whole dang thing in this, and he said Jar Jar Binks, that's our big guy. That's gonna be our big character, and people hated the hell out of this dude.
Oh,
I never hated him.
I mean,
Sorry, never hated
Okay,
him.
okay,
you
that's
never hated him.
Never
You didn't
hated
even
him.
find him like mildly annoying.
No, I didn't. I don't know if it's because I
Okay.
had young kids at the time and my son was really into it. And he was, let's see, he was
okay.
almost 9 when this came out. So he was probably the right age, maybe. And that helped.
So your son liked Jar Jar?
Yeah, my son loved, I mean, he loved
Okay,
the prequels. He did.
but
Um,
the Jar Jar character, he thought that was
I
cute or
don't,
whatever.
I
He
mean,
just liked it.
I think he did. I don't remember him not liking him.
Okay,
I mean,
I
and
mean,
I don't,
it was geared toward kids,
it
so
was.
Yeah,
if the kids like
definitely.
it, then that's that there you go.
My son was probably the
I mean,
perfect
Jar Jar
age. He
was
was
their
probably the
merchandising.
target
Like,
market. Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I can't say
Uh,
my son had an
I
action
just,
figure of Jar Jar, but
I don't condemn this movie or damn this movie because of Jar Jar. Like, I know there are people out there that are just like bile when they talk about this because of Jar Jar. He's more of an annoyance in scenes where I think he could just not be in, and the scene would have played better. But that's as far as I'll go on the Jar Jar hate.
It was intended for kids.
right.
There were comedic parts of Jar Jar goofing around and stuff. So
And
you
him being
know,
clumsy and like awkward and you
yeah,
know who what character bothered me in this movie? It was never Jar Jar. The Roger droids got on my nerves.
Roger, Roger,
Roger,
Roger,
Roger.
Roger, yeah.
Roger. I don't do anything right. I'm useless
And
completely. Roger,
They
Roger.
were so
that
inept.
was that was also kind of the same thing for
Right.
comedic relief for, I don't want to say for the kids, but it was basically for comedian, the whole Roger
Yeah.
Roger thing. So
Well, and they did that. They made the droids inept on purpose because Lucas wanted down the road for there to be like an obvious reason why they went away from droids and went to clones. So he wrote it that way on purpose.
okay.
Comedic relief also, but like it was he wanted them to seem inept so that there would be like, oh, okay, that makes sense that we're going away from robots and going to clones later on in the story. We didn't know that, of course, at the time, but
So they save Jar Jar and then they swim to the Gungan city and
Yeah.
uh,
That is so gross. That grosses me out every time.
I I was not a fan of the Gungans either. Gotta tell you.
The
But
spit rolling off his mouth. Ugh.
they tell the Gungans, well, Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan tell them, you need to help the people of Naboo. They're like, screw them. I mean, I'm
yeah.
sure they had a history, and I'm sure the people of Naboo were like, probably like, ooh, we don't want to associate with you scum. So I
You weird
probably
frog
wouldn't blame
people.
them for not helping them.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, I don't blame them for not helping. The thing that this movie doesn't touch on that I really would have liked to see is how did the droids get to those cities and like push them out of the cities by like the end of the movie? Like, they didn't exactly look like they were aquatically equipped. I wanted to see how that happened. That would have been a
oh,
cool
because
scene,
they
but
were attacking the Gungans also. Or we heard they attacked them or something like that. Yeah, how is that
yeah,
going to
because
happen?
like they go to like a safe place towards the end, and that's when Jar Jar gets made like Bombad General and like all that stuff. They're not in the underwater city when that happens. I want to know how the droids got down there. Like
Right,
that
right.
that that would have been a cool scene for me. But again, I
Yeah,
digress.
yeah, yeah. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Come after us? We're here in the water. You use that one foot in the water, you're gonna electrocute. Like what's yeah? What's the plan here?
You have to assume there's
Yeah,
some cute little bubble ships that they could get into.
Probably, yeah,
You just have to
yeah.
suspend that reality.
You gotta
we have to
suspend
make it up in
yeah,
our
that's
own
right.
head. It's
That's
way
right.
cooler up here anyway.
So they get into some kind of weird submarine and they
The
go
bongo.
the bongo, and they get these big fish are chasing them, and then one big fish eats another big fish, and
There's always a bigger
Qui-Gon's like,
fish.
there's always a bigger fish.
There's always a
See,
bit of
it kind of ruins that. Now, one thing watching it now is when I hear Qui-Gon Jinn and when I hear Liam Neeson, I think of the dude from Taken, and I just
Oh my
I was
God, me
waiting.
too. It's
I was just
impossible not
waiting for him to
to.
say,
He has
you
a
know,
very
it's like,
particular set of skills.
they can make it. Yeah, I don't know who you are, but
I will find you and I will kill you.
I will find you and I will
Yeah.
get your mini chlorian count and I will train you.
Imagine that. Imagine if they just somehow, use that as just like if he just
You
like
know,
I'm sure somebody
the
on
Darth
YouTube
Maul or
has
something
dumped
like that.
clips over that.
yeah,
I'm sure somebody on YouTube has taken clips from Taken and dumped it
I'm
over
sure they
Star
have.
Wars. Oh, that's great.
So the Lord Sidious says he'll take care of the Senate, and then they quote unquote capture the Queen, and it was just like, oh, victory. And then but the Jedi come, they rescue the Queen, they tell her to come to Coruscant, and so it's Padme and a bunch of handmaidens, and
One played by
or
Keira
no, I'm
Knightley.
sorry, Queen Amidala and a bunch of handmaidens. And by the way, the Queen was played by Keira Knightley, and the handmaiden was played by Natalie Portman. And
Who
apparently
look
they were
almost
like
identical.
twins. You couldn't tell them
Yeah.
apart.
Yeah, they look almost identical. It's weird.
And then we're introduced. So they try to escape the blockade, and they were introduced to R2D2, who I guess was working for Naboo or something like that. And
Yeah.
that was funny when they're all the droids are on top of the ship, and they get picked off one by one. It's like I didn't realize being a droid was so dangerous.
Didn't
But
realize they got hazard pay.
Yeah, R2D2 saves the day. He gets a little ceremony, like thank you. And
And how important was it though for them to do that? Like, it just, you're right back after all these years. You're right back in R2D2 is like, he personifies the droids and how important they are. And of course, he's the one that's in every movie, and he's amazing and he's a hero. So I was thrilled to see R2D2 like that
loved
in
it.
that movie. In
Loved it.
episode 1.
Love seeing R2D2. So the ship is damaged, and they end up on this remote planet in the outer rim, Tatooine. And
I was so excited the first time I saw that. I mean, I was like, oh, Tatooine!
Tatooine! Oh my God, they're going there!
I thought they were gonna. I don't think I don't know if I thought it the first time, but like I definitely thought it this time. I was waiting for like somebody to make the Obi-Wan bit where it's like Mos Eisley, you'll never find a more written hive of scum and villainy. I was waiting.
Kind of did say something like that, but he didn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so the Trade Federation is talking to Lord Sidious again, and they say, well, the ship escaped. We can't track the ship. And Lord Sidious says, don't worry, I'll send my apprentice to come find them. And here appears
dun, dun, dun.
my man, Darth Maul, baby. Let's go.
Best part of this movie. Best part of this movie.
You know, I as much as I hated the creation of Jar Jar Binks, I love the creation of Darth Maul. Maybe the coolest character in all of Star Wars history. Oh my God. They nailed it. They just absolutely nailed the look, the menace, everything. Just, oh my God.
I mean, they were a little on the nose with like the red and the horns of like giving very like satanic, demonic like looking vibes. But I mean, why be subtle when you're going for like the greatest evil in the galaxy?
He literally was patterned after the devil. They looked at things of the devil and said, "Oh yeah, let's go for the devil." Yeah.
But this is the introduction of having to have 2 Sith. So
this is the rule of 2, yeah.
So the fact that they have this completely devil-looking, awesome Sith, you're right, Joey. They nailed it. That was the way it had to be. You had to see that. There's the 2 Sith. That's important. That's a thing. It's going to be a thing going forward. And this guy's awful. So you needed, I mean, right down to the double-edged lightsaber. It was, yeah.
Oh, so cool.
Well done.
Perfect. So they are on Tatooine, and they need a hyperdrive for their Naboo fighter, and they go to
their Nubian cruiser. I just watched today. I know all the lingo. It's a Nubian cruiser.
A Nubian cruiser. Okay. And I have one of them right here. They go to They go to basically Napa Auto Parts of Tatooine, and they
Space
see this dude,
AutoZone.
and they ask Watto for parts, and he says Republic credits are no good here.
Yeah.
What?
What do you think? You're some Jedi waving your hand around like that?
I
But
love Watto.
but that's like going to I don't know. That's like going to like Brazil or something like that. It's like, oh, US dollars are no good here. Like, come on, we're the Republic, man.
But I mean,
Well,
don't you think that was just a non on the nose way to say we are way out? We are not in the middle of the
yeah,
galaxy. We are on Tatooine, which is so far from. It's like saying a wretched hive of scum and villainy without saying a
Right.
wretched hive of scum and villainy.
and Anakin's
It's-
mother even says later the Republic doesn't exist out here.
Yeah.
We're beyond the reach of the
It's
Republic.
probably not even that we're far away from the Republic. It's probably like we got the worst dudes, like all the scum of the galaxy are here to get away from the Republic. So we want nothing to do with their laws or their money or anything like that. So don't even think about bringing that Republic thing crap here. So yeah, that's probably it.
Yeah.
Uh,
And in this scene, we also meet Jake Lloyd's Anakin. What did you all think of Anakin? What did you all think of Jake Lloyd's
Okay.
He was adorable.
Because I know this.
Okay.
I know this is another big point.
Cute little boy. He quit acting because he got so much crap for his portrayal of Anakin Skywalker. What are you doing ripping on a little kid? What do you want?
He claims
from
this
this
ruined
kid?
his life. Yeah, he
Goodness.
claims this ruined his life.
He still appears at conventions, though.
Yeah, I think he's recovered from that.
Yeah.
They're probably like, hey, you want to appear at this convention? You're like, oh hell no, I want nothing to do with Star Wars. They're paying you 25,000. You know what? I'll be right there.
In that case,
Sign me up.
I love the way they did Anakin, and I really thought about that this time when I saw it. Sweet, adorable, blonde. The line he gives without thought of what he's getting in return, or however they say that. It's so important that you know that about Darth Vader. So I think it was extremely well done.
But Pam, let me ask you this: Are you an angel? I hear the deep space pilots talk about them all the time.
Are you
on the moons of
that was such a random line.
Oh,
That was
it's so
9-year-old.
cute, though.
But that was my thought back then, and even Russia now is like, man. Immediately, Anakin was a little horny for Padme. Like immediately, like he's 9 and she's 14, and he got the hots for her right away. Man, man, shoot your shot, bro.
But the fact that he asks her if she's an angel makes it so that it's not just that he has the hots for her. Like he just thinks she's amazing from the first time he sets eyes on her. Like
I very much play it as it's love. He's in love at first sight. That comes across. Jake Lloyd is not, again, he's not a deal breaker for me in this movie. He's not great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to like hand this kid an Oscar for like best performance.
He's a kid. He's a kid just playing a kid. Like what do we now I thought it was interesting that originally they wanted Anakin to be 12, but they changed it to him being 9 years old. So I think they wanted, like you said, Pam, the innocence, the little boy, this little boy, and we know what he becomes, but it's like he's just this innocent little kid. And so I thought that was a good choice to make him younger, to make it even more.
Yeah. And
innocent.
It's only 5 years. People make such a big deal about the age difference. Like, come on, by the time they're upper teenager years, who cares that there's 5 years between that? That criticism always annoyed me. Like, okay, big deal. So there's no 9-year-old who has a crush on a 14. You're like,
who didn't have a crush on their babysitter?
Exactly. Like, every 9-year-old boy ever had a crush on a 14-year-old girl.
That criticism annoys me. Can we take a little side note right here, because this is a good time to talk about it? How about the image that came out before the movie came out of Anakin with his backpack and Darth Vader as the shadow? If that wasn't the most impactful, awesome one, like everybody talks about the, original Star Wars movie posters, but for me, that image, other than Rogue One, seeing the Death Star on the horizon, which is awesome.
It was
That image is
absolute
amazing.
perfection. It was
Yes.
absolutely
Yeah.
perfect. This
Yes.
little boy just standing there, but in the
Innocent.
shadow, you see Darth Vader. Like,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. Like it gives
Yeah.
you chills. It gives me chills even to think about it.
Perfect.
Like yes, it's
Absolutely
perfect.
perfect. And you
I
think,
agree.
yeah, perfect.
Yes.
We also meet C3PO, who Anakin built.
Yeah,
Which is cool.
was that ever hinted at in the original trilogy that
Okay,
Anakin built 3PO?
here's what happened. It was not ever hinted, because there was a time in Empire Strikes Back when they capture you know when they capture Leia and Han and
On Cloud City.
C3PO
Yeah.
and Chewbacca, where like I remember they had that really awkward dinner.
Yes. Yeah.
And
That
now
really awkward dinner.
not in the Empire Strikes Back, not in the movie, but in like the novelizations years later, there was a scene where Vader looked at C3PO and said, "Oh yeah, I made you." And yeah, hey, I remember when I was a kid, and I remember when,
I did read
I
that.
was, that previous life. I
But
remember
it
this
wasn't in the
stuff.
movies.
It was not. No,
No.
no. It was
Okay.
retcon,
Yeah,
basically.
Okay. All right. I was just curious. I was curious about that.
Yeah, so and R2D2 meets C3PO, but C3PO is not totally built. He's just a
He's
bunch
naked.
of yeah,
Yeah,
R2D2
naked.
says you're naked. Hey bro, you're naked. It's like, yeah.
My cost is showing.
I think it's cool to think about Anthony Daniels and how consistent his C3PO was for all these movies. And he's so consistent. You would think there would be differences. There are none. Brilliant. Brilliant acting, underrated acting right there.
I mean, there's been almost what, 40, 50 years between the first movie in 1977 and like the last sequel in, well, when was the Rise of Skywalker out,
Yeah.
and it's the same dude is still playing C3PO, and he was really upset that he didn't get to play C3PO in episode 1. But remember, C3PO is just a bunch of like wires and stuff, so he can
Yeah,
be
true.
in. So
Yeah.
Yeah. No. I gotta ask, how do you guys feel about Anakin being immaculately conceived? That part always.
Oh
that
my
part always,
God.
like.
Did we really need a virgin mother? Come on, guys. I mean, I
Like,
know
you have to make him space Jesus. Like,
But yeah,
that's
I mean,
exactly
he is
what
kind
I
of
said.
space
Space
Jesus.
Jesus.
But you know what? I used to write blog entries when I used to be on the hyperspace blog. About the midichlorians and what they meant, and is it actually like a virgin conception? Like I don't know. That's
Well,
one of those things that I'm willing to gloss over any kind of reality for.
Well,
It's
we
just
learned later that it was actually Sidious or Darth Plagueis or whatever that knocked her up, or however that was. So I mean,
I thought
I
thought they concluded he was like born of the living force or something.
I think that they implied that it wasn't that they used the force to impregnate her, but it was either Darth Sidious or Palpatine or Darth Plagueis or whatever who actually created that force that knocked her up. So
Interesting. I don't. I mean, again, I'm not as into the Star Wars mythos as you guys are, so that part went past me. But the
still,
immaculate conception thing, they could have cut that out. They could have been like, "Oh, his dad died." Like,
right.
I would have accepted that
Right.
better than, "Oh, there was no dad." Like, let's make this Jesus allegory.
Him
like,
not having a dad plays huge consequences later on, because basically he's looking for a dad and he finds one in Palpatine.
Yeah, and sort of an Obi-Wan too. Well, though you could argue that's more of a brother.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
we have one of the few speaking times of Darth Maul when he's talking to uh Darth Sidious, and he says, "At last we will reveal ourselves to the Jedi. At last we will get revenge."
Revenge.
What are they getting revenge for?
That's a good question, because apparently
okay.
no, like 1,000 years before this, the Sith were. It was kind of. It sounds like the Sith were kind of like a devil kind of thing, devil and God thing. The devil was an angel and he didn't like what God was doing, so he rebelled and stuff. That's kind of the same thing. It was the same philosophy of the Jedi have one philosophy of you must always restrain your emotions, and the Sith were like, no, we gotta let our emotions fly all over the place. So it was kind of like a like a breaking off kind of thing. So but something happened like
Okay.
1,000 years ago or something like that. I don't know.
Okay. I didn't
But
know if like again if this is something that was in like the extended like universe stuff that I am not privy to. Like I didn't
yeah,
know if they were getting revenge for something specific or if
it's
it's just
nothing
like
canon yet.
revenge
Maybe,
for.
yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Gotcha.
so now they don't have a way to get these parts. Anakin says, "I'll win the pod race and I'll get the parts." And Padme's like, "Are you sure you want to do this? The Queen will not approve." And Qui-Gon says, "The Queen doesn't need to know."
I love that
Qui-Gon
line.
knows what's up.
Yeah.
Oh,
He
Qui-Gon knows.
knows,
Qui-Gon 100% knows that's the Queen.
totally knows who he's talking to. So I thought that was really, really cute. He's just egging her on.
Well, I like that
Yeah.
he does it again where he's like, the Queen trusts my judgment. And she's like, you assume too much. And I'm like, yeah, they know what's up.
Um, so this is now we get to the part where Qui-Gon tests the blood sample of Anakin and sends it
The
over.
midi-chlorians and
Yeah,
yeah.
he's over 20,000 midi-chlorians. That's even more than Master Yoda.
No Jedi
Oh,
has a count that high. I'm like,
yeah. The whole midi-chlorians people were big mad about that. Oh boy, what do we think about midi-chlorians?
I like the idea. I mean, I'm the Star Wars. I suspend all reality and I go into the Star Wars mode. So you know what? I kind of like the whole midi-chlorians thing. Like I said, I wrote a bunch of blog entries about it. There's something to be said for that. Like, oh, okay, there's a measurable way to see that Anakin Skywalker is crazy off the charts, stronger in the Force than others. I liked that concept. I thought that was cool.
Honestly, I'm happy that they kind of disregard it toward like later on in the series. Like they
Well,
really don't talk about the midi-chlorians
No.
much in the later movies, and I'm kind of glad.
But
It does again,
that's
it's not there's so many things that are like a little irksome, but they're not deal breakers for me. That little dropped line about the midi-chlorian count means he's strong with the force. Whatever. I can get past that and still enjoy this movie. Like it doesn't
I've
take me
heard
out.
it described as it's a whole, because what we're doing in this movie is we're going toward, this is how things used to be. This is the good times. This is the good old days. And that's how we used to do things. We used to, measure midichlorians on people and see whether they're good enough for the Force. And if they're little babies that have high midichlorians, we make them Jedi. And if they're, old kids like 9 years old that have high midichlorians, well, screw them. You're too old. It represents the old way of doing
I agree with
things.
you. Good point.
So
Yeah,
yeah, so
that is a good point.
later on, after all hell breaks loose and after everything changes, yeah, we don't talk about midichlorians anymore because that was just the old way of doing things. So then we
That's not
get
a way that's not a way I had seen it before, but I like that point of view. I do like that as like out with the old kind of like we're doing it a new way. I like that. Thank you, Joe.
so
That makes midi-chlorians better in my head.
So Darth Maul arrives on Tatooine. He sends out the probes. Now we got pod race time, and here's Jabba the Hutt looking slim and trim. Look at Jabba the Hutt rocking it. Yeah, you go, boy.
Padre scene, second best scene in the movie.
You got Bib Fortuna behind him. You got all those characters that show up later.
Yeah, Bib Fortuna was there. You saw some chick wearing the slave Leia
Yes, I
outfit.
that. I didn't catch that till this viewing. This time when I went back and rewatched it, I did not notice that like all the other times that I've seen it, but I noticed the Leia slave outfit bikini thing.
Pod race was amazing. Pod race was
Love the pod race.
So well done.
I appreciate that more every time I see it.
Yeah,
well done.
So good. And also a great video game.
Oh, the pod racer for the N64. Yep, love that.
That was and like the arcade game too, like in the like you actually
Oh
got
yeah,
in
you
and
could sit in the pod. Yeah.
really cool stuff. Dang. Um. So okay, so Anakin wins. He wins his freedom or something, but he can't win the freedom of the mother. Like that. Like, do we need
Did have a
slaves?
question
Like,
about that. Did have a question about that. So when Qui-Gon bets Watto, he bets the pod that, and Watto says no pod is worth 2 slaves, so you can get one or the other, right? So he wins, he gets Anakin, and then later in a scene after the race, they were like, "Look, we sold the pod. Look how much money we have." Couldn't he have just traded the pod for the mother?
no. No, she was
No.
too valuable. It's like he said.
Okay.
There's no the humans are too valuable.
Right. He wasn't giving up those as slaves. Period.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
yeah.
I was just that part always kind of irked me because it's like, oh look, we sold the pod for all this money. Couldn't you have just like given Watto the pod and gotten the mother's freedom too?
Now
But,
the
okay.
dice.
Again, I digress.
Now he really wanted to keep Anakin, and if he lost the mother, so be it. And he rigged the dice, but Qui-Gon also rigged the dice too because he's a freaking
Qui-Gon,
Jedi.
of course, way for that.
So they get okay, so they win, they get the parts. Anakin is introduced to Obi-Wan. Hey, how you doing? Hey. And then as they're about to leave, Darth Maul attacks Qui-Gon, and they have a pretty good fight.
You're skipping a major part here, though.
What's
Him
that?
leaving his mother.
Oh yeah. He leaves the mother. Yeah.
Huge. That's so important, and it plays such a role later on. And
yeah, it does.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times, like again on the hyperspace blogs a million years ago, that was debated. Like, how could they make him leave his mother? How could he be expected to ever do anything right or stay on the straight and narrow without his mother when he was already 9? And I just think that, and it's funny, that gets glossed over a lot. I mean, that's huge. That's huge.
And that's why the Jedi way is we're taking you away from your parents before you even think about your parents, before you even grow an attachment to your mother and father. We're ripping you from your family so you could become a space monk.
And that's the other thing is, even if the mom had come with them, wouldn't the Jedi have just separated her and Anakin? Because you're not allowed to have you're not allowed to feel love or like have emotions towards like other people. You have to be like so like grounded and focused on your like Jedi training and studies and stuff like that. So like he would have been separated from her one way or the other. So
the Jedi were right when they said like you have an attachment to your mother. There's no way you could be a Jedi. They were absolutely right. Just because of what you said, Pam. It's your mother. Your mother who you didn't even have a father. And you're it's like, hey, and she even told him, she's like, don't come back. Dang.
Yeah, that scene is powerful.
That scene is
It's a very powerful scene, I think. And I think the Jedi wife sucks. So there you go. That's another whole story. But
my other issue with the Jedi
sucks. Yeah.
My other issue with the Jedi, and I think I brought this up on another podcast we did about something Star Wars related. So they talk about Anakin being the child of prophecy that will bring balance to the Force. There's like thousands of Jedi and 2 Sith. Why do they want to balance that?
What is this balance?
Yes.
You know what?
Like, you're winning.
Bring balance to the Force. There was 1,000 good guys and 2 bad guys, and then at the end there was like 2 good guys and 2 bad guys. So yeah, he did bring balance to the Force. He wiped out all the good guys. What are you doing, man? What is this?
I've never understood that. I've never understood that line of logic. Like, if he's the one who's supposed to bring balance to the Force, let's murk the kid right now. Like,
do you understand what you're? He's the one that's what balance? You're winning, bro. What's going on?
Okay, I'm glad somebody else has that issue because that never sat well with me. The whole balance.
I totally agree. Totally.
There's so many of you.
Here's the good guys. Where is this? What are we doing here? Yeah. So they go to Coruscant. Padme meets Senator Palpatine and Chancellor Valorum, who I just learned today was General Zod in
General
Superman
Zod!
2.
You just learned that today?
I just
Come
learned that
on.
today. I had no idea. I'm so excited. Kneel before Zod is
Kneel
Chancellor
before
Valorum. I'm
Zod.
so excited.
Kneel before Zod.
That's a biggie.
Yeah, I had no idea. I had no idea.
Gotta love this nerd crossover.
Yeah, I love it.
Total
Love
nerd crossover. Yes, I love it too.
I can't wait to talk about Weird Al. But okay, so now Palpatine is working his he's just, you know, he's just the master manipulator. He tells a
Got
queen,
all his
yeah,
machinations going. And...
yeah, they're not going to do anything. Now we go to the Senate, and Palpatine says, "Yeah, look what happened because you taxed the trade routes. Now look what happened." And this drives me crazy. The Trade Federation comes like, "What are you talking about? We didn't do nothing. What are you talking about? Like, how is there no?" And then the whole thing was debating whether they invaded the planet or not. Like, isn't there no CNN in Star Wars or something like that? How would we? How are we? How are we doing? How are like that was just really annoying. Anyway, Qui-Gon goes to the Jedi Council and says, I think a Sith attacked me. And Mace Windu's like, nah, that's impossible. And it's yeah, we see Mace Windu for the first time, which is exciting.
And
he doesn't
a
do
bunch
anything,
and
but yeah.
Yaddle and Ki-Adi-Mundi and like a Kit Fisto, like there's a whole bunch of them there, which is really cool.
Yoda's girlfriend.
Yaddle, yeah.
Yoda's girlfriend.
Yeah,
I don't know whether she's a girlfriend or not, but
she's until Grogu comes along, she's the only other Yoda creature you ever see, and she just sort of disappears too. But it's interesting. Yeah, it is interesting. And yeah, there's a bunch of characters in that Jedi Council that are interesting.
Yeah, so he tells Qui-Gon says, "Hey, there's a Sith that attacked me." Like, that's impossible. Come on. He also says, "Oh, by the way, I found this kid. I think he's the prophecy of the chosen one." And like, oh, that's
pretty
nice.
sure I found Space Jesus. It's fine.
Yeah. And they're like, okay, I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see your little space Jesus, whatever.
That kind of makes you hate the Jedi Council right off the bat. Like, I was like, totally. Oh, well, you're a bunch of jerks, you know?
Yeah. And I thought they were a bunch of jerks to Anakin, because Anakin's like, yeah, like you got this little boy, like you actually like your mom, you weirdo. We don't like you. Like,
you have too much of a bond. No Jedi training for you.
Yeah. Like how did you not, like that's like some like if some kid in like downtown Pittsburgh was like the greatest football player ever, but and like Mike Tomlin's like, I don't know, we could train you or not. I don't know. Forget it. We don't want you to be we don't want you to be a Steeler. Like, you have the greatest Jedi ever. Here's an idea. Why don't you try to make him the greatest Jedi ever?
Yeah.
I don't understand how all Jedi that like get trained from a very young age to not have emotional connections don't grow up to be complete sociopaths. Like, how is not being able to access your emotions, how is that supposed to make you better at doing, like, I mean, maybe it makes you slightly better at controlling the Force, but how does that not make you like a sociopath?
I could talk about this subject forever. Yeah, that's a big one for me. I could.
I had a sort out.
You know, let's say Obi-Wan is walking and he stubs his toe on a dresser or something like that. He's not supposed to feel anger?
Right. Yes. Knee-jerk reaction emotions don't exist in Jedi. Do you train yourself to just never ever?
Yeah.
I don't know. I said, I could talk about that aspect of it forever.
Right.
All right.
Another day.
Yeah. So Padme is fed up. It's like, we want to vote of no confidence for the Chancellor. Let's get this done. And they vote no confidence or whatever. He says, I need to go back to Naboo. And so she goes back to Naboo with the Jedi and Jar Jar and Anakin, and
Jar Jar
they
gets made Bombad General.
he gets made a general, yeah, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
I have no idea how this military hierarchy works for the Gungans.
Yeah, but they see the Gungans, and Padme basically says, "I'm sorry," and that's when she reveals herself that she's actually the queen and not, you know,
And
I
Keira
loved
Knightley or
that.
whatever.
Surprised?
Yeah, but I loved that. I think I was surprised the first time I saw it. I do. I think I was
don't
surprised.
remember how I felt.
Yeah, I think I was like, "Oh,
I was,
cool,
yeah.
go Padme."
Yeah, and I like the scene where and then right after she does that, Qui-Gon looks at Obi-Wan was like, I knew that.
Yeah.
I knew the whole time. I knew.
Yeah.
I knew.
Totally had that.
Yeah.
But she basically throws herself. It's like we are. She's basically asking them to go to war. Like, hey, can you please die for us, please?
Yeah, can you be the distraction?
Yeah. So then you have this like three things going on at once. Padme leads some people to go to the temple. The Gungans are fighting the droids. And then the Jedi, of course, are showing up with who's also there? Darth Maul.
Best scene
And
in the movie.
there's
Hands
like,
down.
yeah.
Best
So
part
it's
of the
like,
movie.
okay. And then he pulls this move. He pulls out this. Of course, it's not going to work now. Okay.
You
Anyway,
have to make that noise.
yeah. He pulls out. Now, I don't remember the double. Like people now treat the double lightsaber like the coolest thing ever. I just thought the whole concept of Darth Maul was the coolest thing ever. So I don't, of course he's going to have a double lightsaber.
And I love the fact that it's Ray Park in that makeup doing all these moves. He was the stunt coordinator for this whole thing. He just like I think having him be in the fight and be in that makeup just takes that fight to a whole other level. That's like the best lightsaber. It's like the best lightsaber fight in all of Star Wars.
Yeah. So Qui-Gon,
but I liked it.
Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, Darth Maul, triple threat for the fate of the galaxy, and then of course we have the convenient laser walls of doom that just happened, cool. Which was really cool too.
That was really cool.
Where did the Jedi speed running go from earlier in the movie that they used? Like, where was that?
Why did you just use speed running or whatever?
Yeah. Why did he just like speed boost down the hallway?
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe he did, and they
no. I don't know. There's some explanation for it, but yeah, I like when the walls were up and they're all waiting, and Qui-Gon uses this time to meditate. He's like, okay, or maybe he took a nap. I don't know. I mean, he is kind of old.
I mean, he's all about like being in touch with the living force and being present. I think that like fits for the character. It is a bit of a weird thing to do in the middle of a fight, but I mean, whatever.
Yeah. So Darth Maul kills Qui-Gon, and oh crap. Now it is kind of annoying. They just stabs him once in the middle, in the midsection, and like, nowadays you stab somebody in the midsection with a lightsaber, and it's just like a little, just a little. You go to urgent care and you get that all fixed up or whatever. So that was a little annoying. But Obi-Wan is able to kill Darth Maul, and this really annoys me that Darth Maul he's quote unquote gone, and he comes back like a million times. Why did you even kill him then?
My thing is, Qui-Gon gets stabbed once. Freaking Darth Maul gets bisected and somehow comes back, but Qui-Gon getting stabbed once can't come back. Like, that's except as a Force ghost.
That was one of the very first memes ever. It was sail at the mall, everything half off, and it was this picture
Sail
of
at
Darth
the
Maul.
I've never seen that.
Yeah,
awesome, bro.
just like Darth Maul was one of the greatest characters. Why did you just? I don't know. That's just annoying.
I agree. It was made it sort of useless. Like, what was the point there?
They just brought him back anyway, and like in like the Clone Wars cartoon and the Rebels cartoon, and it was amazing stories and stuff. But it's like he's such a great character. And anyway, but but it was called that music was called Duel of the Fates, and it's like that was
Yeah.
it. What if Qui-Gon defeated Maul right there? What if Qui-Gon lived? Everything would have been different. Everything.
Yeah.
If he would have trained Anakin. Anakin would not have gone the way he did. Everything would be okay.
Yeah, supposedly, yeah. And let's talk about the other part of this like three-pronged attack where Anakin accidentally destroys the like droid control ship. This part again irked me. Like I don't love the fact that he accidentally crashes in and accidentally fires the torpedoes that blow up the ship at the end. Like it's just that's a little like that's
hey,
a little
what's this
too
button do? Pew pew pew, and it destroys the entire army.
But it's not accidentally. It's the Force working through Anakin. It's all those midichlorians coursing
it's
through
all
his
those
veins. He's
I just
meant
love
to
how all the
be
pilots
this
are like,
pilot.
why is it blowing up? We didn't hit it. Like we haven't done anything. Why is it blowing up?
It's not that. I mean, I totally believe that Anakin, because I mean Anakin was not supposed to be a pod racer. No human is supposed to be a pod racer with all those controls and stuff. So obviously he's using the Force already. But
yeah,
what are you doing allowing one starship to even get through your most important defenses? Like what did the guy that designed the Death Star also design the Trade Federation control ship? Because
they used the same space architect.
yeah, like my goodness, two shots knocks out your entire army. You might want to consider a better design there, guys. My goodness.
Why like if he just like randomly not randomly, but the Force makes him crash into like the hangar bay, why didn't more ships just try to fly into the hangar bay?
Right.
Like apparently that was the way to do it, and they're like spending all this time shooting from outside. Just fly into the hangar bay. Apparently,
just go to that one spot. Yeah.
But Anakin's not normal. That's normal thinking. That's normal space thinking.
All right, you call it the Force. I call it a plot contrivance. It's fine.
Both. They're both correct.
It's fine.
So the army is done, and Padme gets in. They use the Batman repel thing to go up the building. They go in.
I love that.
And she goes into her lazy boy and picks and opens the door and has a bunch of guns there and just
the little armrest, the guns. Yeah.
Let me grab my blaster.
And I love okay, so now the Trade Federation is defeated, and those two dudes are defeated.
The Nemoidians.
We're gonna send you to the Senate, and you're in big trouble, mister. Like, you know what? Shut those sons of guns. What are you doing here? Just knock him out.
I was gonna say
you're in big trouble.
Your planet. I feel like murder is okay here.
Yeah, exactly. You were just at war. Kill those. Oh no, you know what? You're gonna have your trade license revoked. Yeah. That'll teach you.
I love that. That's the security guy's like big line is like, I don't think you're gonna have a trade license anymore.
Oh,
he
yeah,
walks off like that was a drop the mic moment. I'm like, dude, come on, man.
Good luck explaining yourself to the Senate. The Senate will take care of you.
Have fun getting bogged down in bureaucracy for 3 years.
Our buddy Senator Palpatine just became chancellor. He's going to take care of you because he's our buddy. There.
That's the point. They're trying to show, he's getting really important.
Because
we're all
and they started a good job of that.
Weren't those the same dudes that started the Clone Wars? That like started like the whole.
The Nemoidians? Yeah, they're the ones that run like the droid side of the Clone Wars. Yeah, from Geonosia.
Those SOBs in the head. So
yeah, I was gonna say we don't have a second movie if that happens.
Right. Well, if Watto says we'll accept Republic credits, then we don't have Anakin Skywalker at all. So.
Touche.
I love when Palpatine comes to Naboo and he says to Anakin, he's like, we'll be following your career with great interest. Or
yes. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Ominous.
Yeah.
And then they have the Viking funeral for Qui-Gon.
Now the movie is called Phantom Menace. Who is actually the Phantom Menace? You could say it's Sidious. You could say it's Sidious. You could say it's Padme.
It's Palpatine. I always think it's Palpatine.
It is, but
yeah, it's the Sith. It's.
But Padme was sneaking around too.
True. And Darth Maul's kind of mysterious the entire time until, like, I mean, actually, even in the final fight, he's kind of mysterious. They don't really know where he came from. So, yeah, I always question I mean, Attack of the Clones makes sense. Revenge of the Sith kind of makes sense. Phantom Menace doesn't really make a ton of sense.
The original title of the movie was just The Beginning. I kind of think that would have been better. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have preferred that, I think.
Yeah, but then they wouldn't have been able to go back in time with every book and novel and all
right
comic and
the beginning before the beginning.
The pre-beginning.
They could have just called it the
actual beginning,
like Weird Al did.
Okay, the only thing I want to say about Weird Al is he did that parody of of American Pie, which is amazing. The thing I just learned is he didn't watch the movie before making that. The way he got, I
actually didn't know that.
The way he got the lyrics, the way he got everything was internet rumors. Imagine the internet in 1999. The internet in 1999 was like 3 computers and Usenet billboards or something. Like there was not much of an internet in 1999, and he had to get the entire the entire plot basically from internet rumors, from just rumors he heard. And then so what he tried to do was get an advanced screening of the movie, and they wouldn't allow that. But there was a charity event where you could see the movie before anybody else, so he paid for that. And when he saw the movie, he's like, "Oh, I basically got all the plots anyway. I got all the points anyway, so I'm good." So that's amazing.
It's a great parody. I love it.
If you hear the song, it's like we could have just played the whole song, and that was the entire movie. He just nailed it.
Here's your synopsis.
If you ever get the chance to see him live, I will highly recommend seeing him live. He is hilarious, and he comes out in like full Jedi regalia, and like he's got stormtroopers backing him up as his backup singers. It's great.
That's fun.
Apparently he sings Yoda, yo 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 yo, and then he goes into this.
I'm in a swamp down in Dagobah where it bubbles all the time.
I love Al. Okay. So any final thoughts on this movie?
It gets better every time I watch it. You think it's what?
I think it's one of the more underrated. I think, like I said, because of Jar Jar and because of stuff with Jake Lloyd, I think this movie gets a lot of hate that it doesn't necessarily deserve. It's got the best lightsaber fight in all of Star Wars, first off. It's got one of the coolest characters. I like Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, and they're like kind of our in characters. So, yeah, there's some flaws to it. It's not a perfect movie, but I like this movie.
Hey, compared to what they did with the sequels, I'm perfectly okay with the prequels, man.
I love the sequels. I love all 9 of them. I love them and Rogue One and
we'll have to do another podcast and talk about The Force Awakens then.
Let's just say when there's the 25th anniversary of Attack of the Clones, I don't think we'll be sharing so much love for that movie. I'm just saying. I think Attack of the Clones is maybe the worst of the bunch.
That is the one I've seen the least.
Well, I can't wait till that happens because we will have things to talk about.
That's right. Guys, it was so good seeing you again.
Yeah.
This was awesome. And
Deadpool on the horizon.
I'm sure we'll talk Wolverine and Deadpool.
Yep. And make sure you watch Loki season 2 if you haven't already, because that's gonna play big into Deadpool and Wolverine. So
yeah. So all right.
I never finished it.
Guys, thanks so much. I'll see you.
Take care, guys. Bye.
Bye.